And then I will also look at the Trump policy because as you can see that recent weeks, starting from I think 2 weeks ago, when Trump initially stated that he wanted to have imposed a tariff on Canada and Mexico and China. Then after that, yesterday he talked about the 100% tariff on the BRICS. So, so all these are negative news, not only to Malaysia but to the global trade, to the global economy. So I'm going to show you what had happened in 1929. Exactly the same thing happened. There was a tariff act, and then because of that, U.S. Was undergoing some severe depression, prolonged depression because of the tariff act in 1930. So it seems that history is repeating itself. So whenever you have a tariff, right, you in the short term maybe you will win, but then in the long term you will lose. Not only you will lose, but the whole world will lose. It's a global recession. So that is the objective for today. Okay, so let me talk about the tariff first. Let me share the video. Okay, so this article I find it in quite a complete article that it talk about all the tariffs that so far Donald Trump has listed out. Okay, so I give you the link for this article. Okay. So this is the link for the article, so you can read at this article. So this guy, he's Rick Newman, senior columnist for Yahoo Finance. So he actually listed out that the tariffs, in fact, are becoming Trump's silver bullet solution to everything. Here's rundown of what he has threatened so far. So it seems that the tariffs are now Trump's solution to everything. So it's very ironical, right? So it seems that Donald Trump doesn't know much, but he only know what the only weapon that he has is the tariff. He's using tariff to solve everything. But in fact, he doesn't know a lot of things. He doesn't know about the politics. He doesn't know about the history of the politics between the countries, and then those geographical geopolitics. So he just wants to win in terms. He's like a businessman mindset. He just wants to win. He sees the whole thing as a business transaction. Either you win or I win, or that kind of a thing. And he wanted to be the king, or the the king of the whole world, where everybody look up at him. And then if whoever he's not happy with, and then he want people to be scared of him. Okay, that kind of a thing. So which is what the whole world is seeing, that is a big problem, because these Mexico, Canada are the biggest I mean they are neighbors. Okay, they are the biggest allies. They are their allies. They work hand in hand together for so many years. And now it's like brotherhood, brotherhood. Mexico and Canada is like brotherhood. So it's like a very, very close neighbors. And now, especially Canada is like sisters, sister country, just like Malaysia and Singapore. Okay, so US and Canada, so they are very, very close. So now you see, US is imposing tariff on Canada, the closest neighbor. And here is one so 25% Mexico, 25% Canada, and then additional 10%. Okay. And on the BRICS as well. So will be all these and other lesser developed countries. So including Malaysia, because Malaysia a few months ago we declared that we want to join the BRICS as well. And not only Malaysia, I think Thailand also joined. I think Malaysia, in terms of Southeast Asian country, Malaysia and Thailand joined. I'm not sure about Indonesia, okay, but I know that Malaysia and Thailand joined. And Vietnam, these three. So Indonesia and Singapore, they didn't join. So Malaysia, Vietnam, and Thailand, which we are the BRICS nation. So we'll be having 100% of the tariff. So here is there is one. Let me refresh. This one. Actually, just now it was.
Donald Trump laid out a slew of tax proposals, including a promise to make his 2017 tax cuts permanent. Last week, Trump appointed billionaire hedge fund manager Scott Bessent as his Treasury Secretary. That was before he put out a new proposal on tariffs for U.S. imports coming in from Mexico, Canada, as well as China. Now, with Bessent now poised to lead the Treasury Department, the question is, can Trump implement these tax reforms, and what impact will they have on the economy? We'll dive into that later on in the show with Garrett Watson. He is Senior Policy Analyst and Modeling Manager at the Tax Foundation. But as always, we begin with our co-stars, Rick Newman and Ben Worshkull. Ben, what do you have on your note cards?
So what I have got, don't call it a comeback, but I have got the return of Tariff Man, Donald Trump's return of tariffs. So the headline here is that he's going to do, the president-elect is promising 25% blanket tariffs on Mexico and Canada and new 10% duties on China. That's in addition to any additional tariffs he wants to do later on. So it's basically just a kind of re-underlining of what he talked about the entire campaign of his tariffs. The stated reason for this round is drugs and illegal immigration. And he's basically, but it's about to set off a whole chain of diplomatic and legal back and forth. It's going to probably continue all the way through Inauguration Day. Mexico's already talking about retaliatory tariffs. There's expected to be.
Okay, so already Mexico, they have a new president. So it's a lady president, and then she already said that she will retaliate. Okay, so Mexico for immediate action, they will also retaliate. And then for Canada, Trudeau, he's a bit soft, so he didn't say anything, but then he just said that he had a good call with Donald Trump, and then things are looking good. Okay, so far this is what is happening.
Be some sort of concessions offered, and the question is whether Trump kind of takes a win here on small measures, or he kind of goes through with this. And if he does go through, it's a whole lot of legal questions that kind of come ahead. We're all going to learn about things like the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977, which is the way he might do this sort of thing. That's what he's expected to do. So it's a kind of complicated picture that's going to play out for a long time that he kind of set the starting gun on this week. Rick, how do you see it playing out?
So does anybody know what Trump has against Canada? I mean, what is he going for there? So Mexico and China he's picked on them. He picked on them a lot the first time around. Of course, we know he already did a round of tariffs on Chinese imports, and those are mostly still there. Biden left those in place. Mexico, Trump obviously has grievances with regard to all the migrants coming across. I mean, I don't really know what Canada. I mean, I don't think too many migrants are coming in from Canada or fentanyl's coming in from Canada. But Trump wants some leverage. I guess he's going where the money is. Those three countries are the top three U.S. Sources of imports to the United States and our largest trading partners overall, which means we also export a lot of stuff to those countries. So this is going to be interesting. But I'm detecting a more subdued market reaction this time around, and maybe for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think we know by now that Trump tends to threaten a lot worse than he actually ends up imposing. And everybody seems to have gotten used to the idea that this is all part of some kind of negotiation. He wants something, so he goes and he threatens tariffs, and then we'll see if he gets anything he's after. One other thing, I'm just really intrigued that voters don't seem to care that much, that Trump wants to basically raise the cost of goods they buy every day. I mean, that's what tariffs do. And there was some insight in this from new research from Morning Consult. They just did a poll asking people what they thought about tariffs. And I'll just put out one of these findings. I've written about this week. But the one finding that I thought was really interesting, they asked people, what do you think a tariff actually is? And they gave them 4 options. And only 25% of people correctly said that a tariff is a fee that an importer in the United States pays to import a product. 60% thought that either the foreign government or the foreign company importing the product pays a tariff, and 15% said they didn't know. So only 25% of Americans even know what a tariff is. So I guess maybe that explains why people don't seem to mind if Trump actually plans to do this. Now, if this actually raises people's costs, they will. But I think Trump is going to be pretty crafty and maybe make this happen in a way that people don't actually see.
Okay, so this is a bit interesting, is that the majority of the Americans, they actually do not know what does a tariff mean. A tariff means that it is tax on the goods that is coming into the U.S. So meaning that if, let's say, the U.S. imported some Chinese toys or Chinese China alarm clock or whatever things that from China will be imposed a tariff. Okay, and you have to pay more tax. Things will be more expensive. Last time maybe it's $1, now become $2, 100% tariff, let's say. Last time things from the Mexico, for example, the cars, there are a lot of automobile export to the U.S. from Mexico. So those cars will be more expensive. Okay, and then for Canada, what are the things export to U.S. will be the crude oil, the oil. So every year they have, I think, majority of the exports are composed of the oil into U.S. So which means that these neighboring countries like Canada and Mexico, right, they will experience some form of a fall in their exports. Because exports means that money coming in. For example, Malaysia. Why Malaysia we are so concerned about our export figure? Because when you export, you receive money. Okay, so same thing. These countries, they are very worried, is because they have been exporting so much to the U.S. U.S. is the largest consumer in the world, so they are very happy to sell things to the U.S. so to earn money. But now the U.S. is imposing the tax on them, so they can't sell to them. And not only U.S. but not only Canada and China and Mexico, but also the European countries. Okay, European countries, they are also worrying that this is going to affect the EU as well. So already many of the countries they are turning to China now. Since US as a big consumer, they are not buying things from us, then we will move to China. So we will look at China and then sell our goods to China. So because the whole world is divided into US being the largest consumer, they buy the most in the world. Then number 2 will be the China. So if let's say for Malaysia, let's say we cannot export to US, then what can we do? We will turn to China and then we will export to China. So the rest of the world will do the same. They will turn to China and then they will export to China. So by doing this, Donald Trump, by doing this, right, he is actually forcing the whole world turn their importance to China. So instead of having a trade relation with the US, other countries are turning to China. So this indirectly is causing China to become the world leader. Okay, although China may not want to be the world leader, US is already the world leader, right? But now, because of this thing, people have to turn to China and look up to China now, because China hopefully can buy their things. Okay, so when I say that US consumers will have to pay higher price, yeah, exactly. So it will be imported inflation. definitely will have an inflation, and which is why you see the FOMC meeting, Jerome Powell, he was actually hinting that he may not want to reduce the interest rate further because he already see that the whole world, I mean the US is going to have inflation with this all these tariffs imposed. Okay, let me see. Okay. So here, you see this is the trade US export by country. Number one is Canada, number two is Mexico, number three is China. Remember 2018, the number one was China. Remember or not? That was about 500 over billion. Okay, now it's still 500 over billion, but now it's slightly just reached 500 billion. Okay, before that it was 550 billion. So this is 2023, and then 2024 will be even lesser. So which means that the China export to US is getting lesser because of the tariff that Biden was imposing. So now this Donald Trump, he's like a businessman. He's looking from the businessman perspective. So he's not very happy with it. Okay, so he said, "Oh, you export so much to my country, I will impose tax on you." And because he's saying that Mexico has a lot of immigrants moving from Mexico to US, so he's not happy. So he thinks that Mexico and Canada, they are not doing their part in preventing the immigrants to go into the US. So that's why he's imposing the tax. But a lot of people also think that Donald Trump, he's a person who is a big talk, like a big talk, meaning that he like to talk big, but he may not execute it. He say something is to scare you first, and he want to get what he wants. Okay, so for example, he after he said that the BRICS, okay, this one. Okay, Trump threatens 100% tariff from the BRICS, right? If they abandon US dollar. So, and we know that Vietnam is one of the countries. So immediately Vietnam has already highlight to US that they wanted to buy more of the plane, the warfare and all those things. They want to increase import from US just to please the US. Okay, so sometimes you see that this thing haven't even started yet. He's not even not yet the US president yet. Okay, before he even become the US president, he actually says some words to scare people. He just wants to get what he wants. Okay, so that's what the mainstream, I mean the people on the street think that that's Donald Trump's character. Okay, he likes to talk big and then but he may not want to do it. Okay, he just wants to get what he wants. So we'll see. Okay, so which means that the landscape for the investment world for next year will be different. Every word that Donald Trump say, it will impact on the stock market. We are back to the 2017, 2018, where remember how he tweeted on the Twitter. Okay, so everybody the first thing in the morning is to look at the Twitter. I remember at that time in 2020 or 2019, we were all looking at the Twitter. Okay, now we call it X now because it's Elon Musk bought over. So actually we are that is what we're going to see. Okay, we can't tell exactly what will happen because he hasn't implemented yet. He's not. First, after the January 20th, then when he become the president, then only he can start to implement. Then only we can know what's happening. So, but now, this is just all, scary scary word from him, but it may not happen. Okay, it may not happen. So, but already the stock market, we can see that the Malaysia stock market is not doing too well. And here our Tengku Zafrul also said that we have to monitor development of the Trump tariff threat on the BRICS. Okay, so we have to monitor. And okay, so this one is looking at this. Okay, so later, okay, so this one is the China export. Okay, so the China export is reducing, and then the US, you can see that the proportion is only 7%. Okay, and Vietnam is actually, okay, Singapore is about that, 2.1%. Malaysia, actually Malaysia is here, okay, about 1%, Malaysia. And Vietnam, I can't see Vietnam, but although you can't see Vietnam from here, but if you look at the GDP of Vietnam, right, the export to US is accounting for about one quarter of their GDP. So it's a big part of their GDP. So they cannot afford to lose this big customer. Okay, and of course the US export to China is 400 billion because the difference is 100 billion. Okay, so we can Google here. China export to US, how much? Trading economic.
坐校巴好方便啊，那边走的是那巴
You know, this one is China export now. Wait a minute. China export to US. Okay, US export to China. US export to China. How much? Trading economic. Oh, it's 149 B. Okay, so that is a big difference. It's a very, very big difference. 500 B minus 149 B, so there's a trade deficit of about 350 B. Okay, so that is a big difference. So this is US export to China. Okay. Yeah, so which means that we are going to, the whole world is very nervous. Okay, so now I'm going to show you in the 1920s, right? After the World War One, okay, after the World War One, there were a lot of inflation, okay, in the US. So, and then there is this two person, okay, so this two person, this guy, he is the representative, Willis Hawley of Oregon, okay, and then another guy is the Senator Reed Smoot of Utah. So then both of them, they proposed to have tariffs on the imported goods. So then this act, Tariff Act, is named after these two persons. It's called Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, 1930 Act. So what is this about? Okay, so in June 1930, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act increased U.S. tariffs on agricultural imports and more than 20,000 imported goods. So not only they increased the tariffs on all the agricultural import, because at that time U.S. they have a lot of farmers. Even now they also have farmers, but the farmers product account for a big proportion of the the employment, the job. So that if let's say they imported all the cheap agricultural product, it will affect the local farmers. So they imposed tariffs on the agricultural import and also some other 20,000 imported goods. So the tariff imposed was the second highest in American history. The goal was to protect American farmers who were most affected by the Great Depression. However, it raised the price of the food and other items. You see, it continued to worsen the inflation. Other countries retaliated with their respective tariff hikes. Okay, so after they have imposed, right, in the 1930s, right, subsequently, all the other countries also retaliated, forcing the global trade to decline by 65%. Economists believe that the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act was one of the principal causes of the economic depression. So the legislation highlighted how dangerous protectionist trade policies are for the world economy. Afterwards, most countries promoted free trade agreements that support fair trade for all. So this is the history whereby during the time of the Great Depression, farmers made up of around 20% of the U.S. population. You see, provide so much job employment for the U.S. people. The food prices skyrocketed between 1915 and 1918 as they are having the World War I. So in the 1920s, as European farmers were recovering from the war, American farmers met harsh competition and falling prices due to overproduction. So then, as a result, the American agriculture bodies pushed the government to safeguard against the agricultural goods and imports. So during the 1928 U.S. presidential election, Herbert Hoover vowed to raise prices on the agricultural imports, just like what Donald Trump is saying. So they say, oh, in this presidential election, I want to impose a tariff. However, as soon as he took office, representatives from other sectors asked him to increase tariffs on other imported goods. So the bill comes into the law on June 17, 1930. So the law raised the tariff by approximately 20%, prompting other countries to impose high tariffs on the U.S. So exports as retaliation. So you see, immediately other countries, they will not stay there for nothing. They will retaliate. So it led to U.S. exports falling from 7B in 1929 to 2.5B in 1932. Farm exports were down by 1/3 from their 1929 levels by 1933. International trade plummeted 65%. So then in 1934, another new president, Roosevelt, signed the Reciprocal Trade Agreements Act, which reduced tariffs and supported trade independence and collaboration across countries. You see, Roosevelt actually bring out the Keynesian theory. He's the one who proposed Keynesian theory. So he bring out the Keynesian theory, and then he thinks that in order to make the economy better, you have to have trade. You have to have you cannot build a protectionism policy. You have to have free trade. So ever since then the you see the things recover, economy recover. Okay, so some historians believe that the tariff hike deepens the Great Depression, which might have incited the rise of political extremists and extremist leaders. Okay, so here is the impact of the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act on the U.S. stock market. So you can see that this is the U.S. stock market. The U.S. stock market actually crashed in the October 1929. So this was the crash of the U.S. stock market in October 1929. And then the May 28, 1929, they passed the law here in the House. After the House, then they passed the law 1 year later in the Senate. Okay, because this is the lower house, this is the upper. So you have to pass the lower, then you can pass the upper, and then you can sign into the law. Okay. So once it's signed into the law, the stock market plummets even further, crash down to from 1930 all the way down to 1932. I think this was May 1932, the lowest point. And then the 1934 Roosevelt came, okay, to have all the free trade things. So then slowly recover. And after this, you see a steeper rise in the stock market. Okay. So here we are looking at a similar case is happening now. Because of course this because Donald Trump has not executed yet. He just tried to scare people, but I'm not sure whether he will mean it. But anyway, we are seeing that the impact of the tariff on the U.S. equity Okay, not only the US equities, but it will also affect the whole world. Okay, so which means that for us as a stock investor, whether you are holding the US stock or you are holding the the Malaysia stock, we have to be very, very careful, okay, for next year. And so that's why I would think that for year end, this year end, it's good that you reposition your portfolio and rebalance your portfolio. If you can switch to the dividend stock. Okay, switch to dividend stock, but of course, we can't foresee whether there is any other bull run or not. Okay, because this year we do see a very strong bull run for the US economy. I mean the US stock market. For the Malaysia stock market, we also see some great bull run in the first half of the year as well. So moving to the next year, we have to see more on the Donald Trump. Okay, his words.